What's up YouTube, Capital G here, talking about the official OCG errata that was just placed on Sangan, and it has just gotten unbanned as well. So for those of you who don't know, let me just go ahead and read Sangan's new effect. Don't bother looking at your copy of Sangan because it's something different than what the new text is. So it says Sangan, obviously all the stats and the stars and levels and everything like that have pretty much stayed the same, the type, the attribute, all of that good stuff. The new effect is the effect of Sangan can only be used once per turn. Effect number 1, when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, add one monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand. If you add a monster to your hand with this effect, you cannot activate the effects of monsters with the same name during that turn. So, okay, let me give you my quick rundown and synopsis of Sangan's new effect versus the old effect. Obviously, it is not as powerful as the old effect. In fact, none of the cards that they've ever errated, like the ban cards, have ever been as powerful as they were before. It's just not possible when they're designing the erratas to essentially make the cards less powerful. But this one isn't really that significant. The only real change is the activation conditions are exactly the same as I remember them. The only difference with Sangan is now the monster that you add, well, actually, no. The Sangan can only activate once per turn. I believe the old Sangan could activate as many times as it hit the graveyard. So hypothetically, if you summon Sangan and it got torrential, you'd be able to search. And then let's say that you activate Soul Charge, and then your opponent's like, I'm not gonna let you exceed. I'm gonna Ring of Destruction it. You'd be able to activate Sangan again. If you do that same play now, Sangan can only activate once per turn. So you've activated it once and can't use it anymore that turn. Doesn't matter how many times it dies and then goes back to the field and then dies again. You can only activate it once. But the real important thing is, I don't think that's going to be that relevant, to be honest. The real important thing is the monster that you add, you cannot activate that monster's effect. Now, you can still summon that monster. However, you just can't actually activate the effect. And it says monsters with the same name. So let's say, hypothetically, you searched a Shadow Mist with Sangan. If you had another Shadow Mist that was already on the field, if that Shadow Mist tries to activate its effect, it can't because it's a monster with the same name as the Sangan that you just searched. Personally, I think that if this is what they needed to do, this is what they felt they needed to do to get Sangan back in the game, I'm perfectly fine with this because this is very similar to Dark Magician of Chaos. It doesn't hurt the card that much. This card is definitely still playable. I don't really think Sangan needed an errata, but this really doesn't take away the power of Sangan pretty much at all. This is, I would say, Sangan didn't need to be errated in my opinion, but I would say this is an acceptable example of them errating a card, making it a little less powerful but still highly playable for anybody that wanted to play Sangan. Like whatever deck you were probably going to play Sangan in, you can play this version of Sangan and it'll act the same 90% of the time. Now the thing is, erratas. Do you guys like them? Do you guys not like them? I feel like I like them, but I think that Konami just not a lot of times they can't find that sweet spot. Like this is the sweet spot. Well, actually no. This isn't the sweet spot. Ring of Destruction is the sweet spot because Ring of Destruction is a card that they could not have brought back the way that it was originally, not because of the whole chainable on both players like that. Oh my god, I love Ring of Destruction. It wasn't even that. It was because Ring of Destruction caused ties, and Konami never ever wants you to tie. Ring of Destruction now can't be used during your turn, so it does stop it caps the ceiling of the card, because before you used to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna summon my big ass monster, I'm gonna attack you, then I'm gonna ring you, and it's basically like a double attack. But you can't do that. But then mainly they just wanted to stop the players from tying. Like a lot of times Konami goes overboard and they nerf the cards so hard that the cards are not really that playable. Like I don't think that they've unbanned anything with an errata and it still be too broken. Like they've only hit cards too hard. Like if you look at Sinister Server, that's the biggest example. That card is it's garbage now. There are other cards like Crush Card Virus that see some play. I don't think they're nearly what they used to be, but they're just some cards that they over nerf completely. And then there are some that a lot of people will say, like Dark Magician of Chaos and Sangan, that didn't need erratas. I would say Chaos Emperor Dragon is a sweet spot too, because like if nothing else, that card's just a 3,000 beater. Like if you tell me that I can play a Chaos monster and get 3,000 attack for free, like I'll take that all day. So I think that I like Sangan's errata because it's really not that harsh, and this card is still very playable. I think that this card is eventually going to go to 3 because I think it is. I mean, I don't know. In today's Yu-Gi-Oh, it just seems kind of slow. In today's Yu-Gi-Oh, and a lot of times you know, like using a normal summon on a 1,000 attack monster that will only activate when it's filled to the graveyard, I'm not sure that that's really worth it. I mean, yeah, if you synchro summon with it, it triggers, but like the game is so Exceed based right now, you know, I'm not sure that Sangan would see much play. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching as always.